Today on Uncommonly Good MTG, I am going to present my top 5 favorite standard decks from December 2022. Will your favorite deck make the list? Stay tuned to find out. Hello and welcome to Uncommonly Good MTG. I'm your host, voted hottest disembodied voice in a daily YouTube series featuring magic cards, Dr. Yukon Socket. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Yukon Socket. Word to your mama. So I'm broadcasting to you once again from my secret underground headquarters. And today I'm bringing you a slightly different setup than normal. I'm bringing you a top 5 list. Woohoo, top 5 list. So let's just talk about it. What today is going to be about is I have taken a look back at my stats for December. By the way, this is on TapGG. I highly recommend you pick it up should you have the means. And since it's a free tool and you need a computer, I'm assuming you have the means. So I've taken a look back at what I've played in December, and just looking at that, I played 73 different decks, totaling 670 games. So it's an average of about 2 1/3 decks per day, and it's about almost 22 games per day is what I've been playing, right? To be able to bring those fine content that I bring to you on a daily basis. And here's this big old list of all the stuff I've been playing. These numbers aren't exact because if you get inside each one of those, you'll find out that, there's different versions of each deck inside of it. And this is the overall numbers. But it goes on and on and on. Like I said, it is 73 different decks in December. And so what I decided to do is go back and take a look at those decks that we played and decide which of those were the most fun. Which were the most fun out of December? Which decks would I recommend continuing to play because they were the best to play? Now, I'm not saying they're the winningest decks, right? You're not going to maybe climb the ladder with these things. But if you're just looking to have some good old time on Magic the Gathering Arena and looking to play with the cards in the current standard meta, then these are the decks that I would recommend based upon the ones that I ended up playing. So let's talk about what makes a deck a favorite for me. So while win rate is a factor, I'm primarily grading it by the fun to play, right? And it involves a lot of interest. As you know, you've seen the 3 categories I rate decks by are competitiveness, fun, and interesting. And really, I'm looking at combining all of that together, to say these are my favorite decks. So a deck is a favorite because it has a decent chance at winning, meaning we're going to get probably over a 50% win rate. It always puts up a good fight. That's a big thing because I really hate it. Even if you got a great deck and you just get shut down a third of the time because maybe it's a super combo deck and you didn't get the one card you totally needed. But when that combo comes together, it's beautiful. But, it only happens 1/3 of the time. That is not going to do it for me. It has to always be fairly consistent on how well it plays. The cards themselves individually have to be interesting, or the synergy of the cards working together has to come up with something interesting. And I give bonus points for big finishes. Like if the deck traditionally ends with a big splash, something that's huge, I don't know, like a fireball to the face, something like that, because you're saving up tons of treasure tokens or something. Oh, that's a big point for me. So, we'll see. Those are the criteria generally that implies what a favorite deck is for me. So, without anything else, let's go ahead and review the list from 5 all the way down to number 1. Hey, take the blood for it. All attack. Sure, that guy. That guy, whatever. And dead! The forces of Mardu are invulnerable. Alright, so we are looking at Legends of Mardu. And I think this is pretty much 100% the version I picked up off of AetherHub, posted by Who Guess. And you know, there's a lot of like Legends deck working their way around right now, but this one I found extremely appealing because of Ishin here. Two Heavens is one. You know, it's just one card, but when you can get him out, everything else really comes together in an interesting way. It's just it's still to this day, still think about it a lot. I like it. I mean, it's got a lot of red. I mean, I just never realized how much I like red decks. How just that aggressive play that comes from that. But it's got the white, which, you know, in this it does the soldiery thing, I guess. And we got a little bit of, I mean, the black here is pretty much for the, I don't want to say what it does. I mean, this brings them back as zombies and everything. But that's the thing, is Ratadrabic is usually the core of any particular legend deck right now. But putting them together with Ishin, the Two Heavens, and then putting a lot of dudes that are having the, you know, an effect occurs with attacking, which is, where we got, what's an attack here? We've got Thundering Raju, who does it. We're entering this, a copy of another target card. Oh, that's not it either. Okay, well, Squee doubles it up. And there we go. Yodel and Frontliner there. So yeah, I haven't played this deck in a while, but this one was a huge winner for me. Let's take a look at the at my chart, see if I still have it. Yeah, it was number 2 on my list of most wins. It has a 78% win rate, and it just has so many little tricks. It's got a little bit of control between the Lightning Strike and the Play with Fire, but these are also cards you can put right at people's faces. And just the doubling up of the on the attack values and so many things. Plus, if and when they get killed, if they were legends, they come back as zombies. So that way you can continue to get their effect. I mean, it is so good and so interesting. So yeah, Legends of Mardu is an incredibly fun deck that I would highly recommend. Here's 3 more. Leroy Jenkins! Woot! All right, so here we are with Gruul Haste. So this is my version of the deck. It was based off of a deck called Gruul Haste over on the Aether Hub, put up there by Whip for Real, or RL. I'm not sure what the RL is supposed to mean. Referral. And so it's mostly that deck, the Gruul Haste deck that Whip put up there. But it was my opportunity to put Skitterbeam Battalion in something. And either I just saw a Skitterbeam or I played it in another deck, but I thought it would do very well in here. I ripped out a few cards from in here and because I think I grew in Beast, that guy right there, the Beast, whatever. When I first was playing with that one, it always gets killed. It doesn't really pass the tokens around well. It didn't seem to do a very good job, so it was a little too slow. It wasn't hasty at all. But yeah, the rest of this deck worked very well with what we had going on here. Because I really do like a good mono red haste, and you see that with this. We got Thundering Raju, you got Squee, you got Reckless Stormseeker, the Shivon Devastator, but you don't have those low-end guys, right? The Phoenix chick and the guy with prowess and stuff like that. But we do have the Iconoclast. It has trample, I think is what I like about that. Fight rigging, which is nice when you can start putting it onto the trample. Helena and Alana. See, that's the big thing that this deck really does well, is that you get hasty stuff out, then you can start making them bigger and fatter, as well as you got a guy with trample, and you got Skitterbeam Battalion, which is mono red, and they got trample. So it's getting out hasty guys, which is hard to hold up against, but then they maintain value by getting bigger and bigger. And we do have some control in here with play with fire, tail wipe, lightning strike. And while it's not usually needed, it's to Shivon Devastator. If you got the mana at the end, this guy cannot be blocked. I mean, he's flying in haste. They don't know what's going to happen. You don't have anything flying so far. So unless they just magically have something with reach, have some sort of card with an instant level kill capability, you can come out with a lot of mana and usually finish people off with Shivon Devastator. Just pump it all into that guy. But yeah, it's Skitterbeam Battalion to me is the big thing that makes this deck so good. Usually you don't have the 9 mana. Usually you can't play him for his full ability, and the deck doesn't do any sort of like mana ramping or anything like that. So you can be playing him as a 2/2. I would recommend as soon as you get up to 5 mana, you just play him for what he's got going on. You got that constant ongoing grind that this deck does. So yeah, you got that. You got the early damage of haste without the little dudes, but you have the growth that the green provides. It's a good deck. It's an entertaining deck, and it appeals to that inner aggro player of mine. We're gonna make a copy of him. 1, a 2, a 3. Let me get him down to 4 cards. You got 4 turns left. Okay, so this is Jeskai Mill. Jeskai. And so the thing about this deck is that I was just happy to get a mill deck back that actually worked. Now, it is actually based upon a deck called Naya Portal, because it was originally white, red, and green, made by Rico Boy. But then I decided to say, well, it's a great deck as far as because it didn't really matter what it got out. It was all about using chaotic transformation here, and then it just got something, some big creature. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to see what happens with the Teresian Mindbreaker. Turns out it works great with it. I took out all the green, I put out the blue instead, probably made a couple more changes. But then this deck had a fairly reliable mill again, something that actually worked. And the weird part is it didn't seem as though like the deal is you're looking for mill and you think, okay, I gotta play blue. If you take a look at this deck, there is practically no blue in here whatsoever. You can see one little blue icon right there in Faithful Mending, and then to play the Unearth, you need 3 blue. And there's a lot of blue here in the lands to pick up on that. But it's just Boros, red, white, all over the place. And there's no mill going on, except for this guy right here. So, but somehow this deck ended up being great. And as far as providing a new mill deck, because the thing I love about mill decks is that you just don't care about doing damage to your opponents anymore. It's not even a thing. It's like the entire purpose of playing Magic cards, which is just kill your opponent by doing damage to them, is just gone. It's so how should I say, relieving. You're relieved that's just like you don't have that pressure. And you're just focused entirely upon how many cards are left in their deck. That's it. And even your own life, you just don't really care about it this point. You just take damage, whatever. You'll blow the board a few times. You just try to keep things pinned down. But it's all about that chaotic transformation into getting the Mindbreaker out, playing them a second time, getting them down low, keeping them from killing you, and just seeing those last couple of cards tick off their graveyard. See you later, sucker. Yeah, so all hail Jeskai Mill. A lot of planes. All right, and then this will double him again, and he'll be scared to block with the Haughty Djinns. Actually, that worked a lot better than I thought it would. He's got to block with the Haughty Djinn. He may be dead. All right, there we go. Dead. All right, here we are with Boros Nuke, which is it's based on an old deck of the same name, which was then based upon a deck called Devilish Valet Token Supremacy by Titanovix. So a lot of the cards in here and the general feeling of it are based upon that original deck by Titanovix. But I've changed some things out a few times around the edges. And so it's roughly a Dr. Suckett original by now. So yeah, this has got the Brothers War stuff added to it. And my God, it is so good. I loved it in its last version. I love it even more now, mostly because of Skitter Beam Battalion. What Devilish Valet, because it's all about Devilish Valet. It's about making this guy just be so big that they can't do anything about it. It's got haste, so they just have to guess that it's coming. It's got trample, so and when you get this guy up to like 1,000 points of power, you can't block it enough. You just can't block it. The only thing that would be bad would be like what, like a first strike with Death Touch or something. That would probably do it. There's a few ways you can use this guy. A flash in, an exile or something. But this guy is a tornado of justice. Bitter Reunion does a fantastic job in this deck, giving things haste. A rabble rousing, my favorite of the hideaway cards, because I just love duplicating every time you attack. Muriel does a great job because you have to get soldiers from someplace, and there's not that many in this deck. But those soldiers, everyone that's out, she'll create a copy of, and that a lot like Devilish Valet. You put out one, next turn you have two, then you have four. It's doubling every time you attack. We do have the ability to burn things to the ground in case we have to, but decks like this recover quickly. The thing I love about this deck is that giant final finish, which is usually a gigantic explosion of pure power by the Devilish Valet. It is such a gorgeous deck. Copy. And we win. I didn't even know we were at that point. Okay, so this is Mono Red Control, and I got this off of Aether Hub, pretty much as is, by Tay Malice, is the guy that posted it there. This is my favorite deck in December. In general, I think it's because this is probably the first deck, or one of the first decks, where I really fell in love with the giant creatures provided by the Brothers War. Cityscape Leveler, Skitter Beam Battalion, Portal to Phyrexian. It's not creature. These two are, right? The 9s and 8s, they're just ginormous. How are you going to get the mana for it? Well, this deck does it, right? It's Visions to Phyrexia. That card is so good as far as putting out Power Stone tokens. And when you don't need it anymore, you still have this thing drawing cards for you that you can play. And it's so good at just keeping things going. The card draw in this is fantastic due to Celestis, Reckoner Bankbuster, the Fable with the phase 2, which is discard up to 2 draw cards. Plus, you got the ability to just wipe creatures out between Brotherhood's Inn, Rending Flame, Abrade, Flamebuster Bullet, just going at those creatures to keep them. That's the control. Burn Down the House will also do the same thing, but really what I like Burn Down the House for is putting out those 3 dudes at a time, because that 3 attacks for 3, as well as then when they get killed, that's 3 more damage. So I mean, it is so good. 6 points of damage to whatever you feel like. I guess whoever wishes to block and then attacking the player, that kind of stuff. It is such a good deck. It is so much fun to play. And if I was making videos every day, I'd be playing this thing at least once a day. It is so good. I'm glad that we have Manlands back again as well. Look at that Mishra's Foundry. Fantastic. So that is my wrap up of my favorite decks for December of 2022. I'm really looking forward to what January provides. And possibly we'll be putting out another top 5 favorite decks list a month from now. If you have your own favorite decks that you think were not provided in my video, feel free to argue for your favorites in the comments below. I look forward, if you can, even posting that deck list so I don't have to go searching for it, because I would like to see what I'm missing out on. So if you decide to play with one or more of the decks that I outlined today, I hope that you have as much fun as I did.